This is the only thing it will ever unplunge. I already know that.
It's just a disposable one.
Yeah. If anything, do you know what my plan is? If I can, flush it down.
Get rid of it.
Flush it down. Flush it down the plug hole once I'm done.
Yeah, there'll be a plunger will come up on my toilet.
In the world of conspiracies, the supernatural, and the downright spooky, there are only two men who you can trust. Denis Lynn and Roger O'Sullivan. Or as they prefer to be called, the Unexplained Legends. There is perhaps no supernatural entity more associated with Ireland than that of the Banshee, a spirit creature which is said to appear as a bad omen. An old wives' tale, surely. Or is it? This week on Unexplained Legends, the legend of the Banshee.
Welcome, listeners, to this week's episode of...
That is not my...
I'm Roger O'Sullivan, and with me, as always, is...
Dennis the plumber, Len.
Oh.
I got so startled there because it sounded like you already had reverb when you said Unexplained Legends.
No.
I was like, how the hell is he doing that? That's unbelievable.
Which brings me perfectly into the fact that together we are...
That is not my... Exactly. How's your week going this week, Raj?
Not too bad. Not
busy
too
man?
bad. Very busy.
Yeah.
Very busy. I've been doing a lot of diversifying my portfolio.
Oh yeah, you're into investing now, aren't you?
I'm big into investing.
Yeah.
You've
been investing in a lot of vests.
Yeah. I listen, mark my words, vests are on the way back in.
Do you think?
Yeah, string vests.
I think it's still popular with kids. Kids still wear vests, but I think at a certain age, what age do they stop wearing vests at? I would say 12.
Oh, I would think that you only stop wearing vests when you get to like 35.
35? Yeah. Okay.
That's when you age out of vests.
And when do you age back in? Because you definitely age back in.
You age back in at 40.
All right, there's only 5 year there.
Yeah, that's why.
No vests.
That's why it's so lucrative.
Do you wear vests at the moment?
No.
You seem like a vest person.
No, I'm not a vest wearer.
I would even say I wouldn't be surprised if a little long john is inside your wardrobe.
I'm not opposed to a long john.
I never said you were opposed to a long john.
No, I'll wear a long john, but I won't wear a vest.
Okay. Why?
Because don't get high on your own supply. I'm heavily invested in vests now.
Oh, so it's like a legal thing almost. Like.
Yeah, it is. It's insider trading.
Have you ever worn a fishnet vest?
I won't confirm nor deny those rumors. We've been through this. I won't comment on those kind of rumors and speculation.
I just don't know where you'd put a vest these days, you know? Like, I would just... I don't know. I don't even how it would... you put it on, then you have a t-shirt on top of it.
With how tight the clothes have got. Even though they're getting loose again. That's why vests are coming back. Because the thing is, with these big, loose, flowing tops people are wearing again, you're getting gusts of wind going up there, and they're giving people, not to alarm anyone, they're giving them pneumonia. As my mother would say. Yeah. So what we in the vest industry are doing is we're trying to reintroduce, do you know, rewilding? Yeah, we're like doing that, but
you're
for
revesting.
Vests. We're revesting. We're heavily invested in revesting, and we're trying to get the word out there. If there's any young men and women out there who are afraid to wear vests
over the age of 18,
because of stigmatization, if they're worried about wearing vests, don't just wear them. You do you, but only if it's wearing vests.
What are you doing for Paddy's Day?
For Paddy's Day, I am coincidentally going back to Ireland.
Are you really?
But that's not why I'm going back.
Going back to the homeland?
Yeah, that's not why I'm going back. I'm going back to surprise my mother for Mother's Day.
Yeah. Are you going to be in the parade?
Yeah, they asked me, and I said I can't make it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because I have another gig.
Where are you doing the gig?
I'm doing another parade.
Oh, okay, yeah, grand. Are you doing a bigger parade or a smaller parade?
I'm doing the North Korean embassy.
Oh, brilliant!
They're doing
Great.
a small parade.
Would never have expected that. You must have been practicing with that for a long time, were you? Who was at the front? Just you and Dennis Rodman?
Yeah, there's just the two of us, and we're just basically we're shaking hands the whole way, and we're trying to spread the word about how North Korea You know,
hold it.
Give him a chance.
Oh wait, you know what? That's probably one of the flag words as well. You're gonna have to bleep all that out.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So for the listeners who are assuming that we're on drugs, this episode, what are we doing this week?
This week, Dennis, because we're still, like you mentioned, we're still in St. Patrick's Day mode.
Oh, we're in the swing of it, so we are.
Yeah. Oh, God,
the American listeners will love that. They'll love that now.
So
Irish it up a bit for the Americans.
So right, put a bit of whiskey in it. Did I ever tell you about when I worked in a cafe and somebody came in and they were like, "Oh, what do you have?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, well, coffee." You know, I wasn't very good when I worked there. I was like, "Oh, well, latte, americano, you know,
the usuals,
macchiato, all the." And then I said, "Or you know, you have tea. We have herbal teas, or we have Irish tea." That's what I said. And then they said, "Oh, Irish tea, is that with whiskey? Is that with whiskey?" And I was like simultaneously offended, but then also did think, well, there is Irish coffee.
But you did also wink at him. So
yeah, I did.
Probably gave it away.
I gave him a big
and
old...
shook a bottle of whiskey as well.
Well, I think he smelled it off me. And he thought, oh, that explains it. I'm like, no, not at all. We're still in the swing of the month of Irishness.
Yeah, oh God, we are.
This is probably going to be our last episode on Irish topics.
Until next March, probably.
I'm not committing to doing this every March.
Why? Have you been having too much fun doing it?
Yeah, I've been having way too much fun. But also, I think that there's a chance that I might want to bring up a few more ideas I have during the year.
I have a question for you. How many conspiracy theories do you think are generated each year?
That's a good question. I would say 15.
15. So that's good. So that's 15 weeks every year that's covered for us in episodes.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then we have a back catalogue of, human history for the rest of them.
Yeah, I think something that's frustrating, though, in terms of this podcast and its longevity, is you have ghosts, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Ghosts have been around for ages. Then aliens, they came out.
When did they come out?
In ancient times.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah, they came out in ancient times, right? But ghosts would have been maybe a little before them.
No, they wouldn't have been.
Would they not have been?
No, ancient aliens. Ghosts couldn't have been before ancient aliens.
No, because I'm talking about ghosts of the monkeys.
Monkey ghosts.
Monkey ghosts.
Have there been recorded episodes of monkey ghosts?
I'm sure there have been, right?
And just to say that, we're never recording an episode about monkey ghosts.
No, okay, I'll keep that in mind. But I think that there's a chance, right? That there's a chance ghosts were hanging around in like the what do you call Neanderthals?
Okay,
right. There's probably Neanderthal ghosts,
mm-hmm.
right? And then if you were saying the ancient aliens came and messed with the DNA of Neanderthals, you were saying that, right?
Yeah, I am saying that.
Yeah, so
that's a theory I put forward.
So the ghosts are slightly edge out the ancient aliens, not necessarily.
So are you saying there is such thing as ghosts of animals as well? So yeah,
I think there. Oh yeah, I think there is.
All right, is there ghosts of spiders? Can you get spider ghosts?
Spider ghosts? No, they're arachnids. And they don't have ghosts.
Okay, but what about insects? Like birds? Can you get ghost birds?
Yeah, I think you can definitely. Yeah, you can get ghost birds.
But no insects. Like, is it like? Is it size? Like, can a wren be a ghost?
Yeah, a wren could be a ghost.
Yeah, right. So any sort of bird.
It's not size. Yeah, it's not size. It's more about like. I think it's if you have an exoskeleton.
Okay. All right. Cool. Anyway, so where are we going this? We got another Irish episode.
Yeah, so we have another Irish episode this week, Dennis. They're going to think we're on whiskey.
They will.
I can't keep track of the episode.
No.
This week, Dennis, we're doing, can you believe it or not, a very special one.
Go on.
Right, we're doing one that I think it's going to be a rarity because you definitely will have preconceptions of this.
Okay.
Right, and you will be aware of it.
Are you saying me personally?
Yeah,
I have preconceptions.
You will be aware.
Not the
of
universal
this.
you.
No.
Will the listeners share these preconceptions?
Some of them will.
Okay.
Some of them will. Right. In fact, a lot of them will. I think.
All right. Okay, that's much better.
Yeah,
that's much better.
A lot of them will. And I'll tell you, when I was researching this, I learned a bit about this as well.
Mm.
So even I was surprised.
Even you.
Even me, and you know me, a supernatural paranormal expert. This week, Dennis, we are covering something known as the Banshee.
Something known as the Banshee?
Yeah.
Sure, we all know the Banshee. I would say Queen of the Ghosts.
Well,
Queen of the Spirits.
There we go. There we go. A little bit. You have to be careful nowadays.
Yeah, I don't want to misghost them.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I have I have mentioned a Banshee story on this podcast before. So I have actually encountered a Banshee.
Yeah.
So I am going to be interested though to find out the origins of the Banshee and who made it up.
Do you remember when you? Why? What do you mean made up?
No, I just like where it came from, like where it was invented.
Oh, where it was discovered.
It was discovered.
Where it was discovered. Yeah. That's so.
Do you think with some of these ghosts and banshees, they're waiting around for humans?
Well, if you're talking about the monkey ghosts that we mentioned earlier,
I'm not.
Okay, I think some ghosts are hanging around waiting for humans. Some spirits. Yeah. In fact, actually, that kind of does tie up with the banshees.
I bet it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. No, you mentioned that you have an experience of meeting the banshee.
Yeah, well, meeting is of course we'll have to get into this before I start asking questions. Yeah. But you in previous episodes have referred to it as the banshee, as if there is one. Then I said something else about maybe a group of banshees. You suggested they were on a hen party or something.
Yeah,
but is there one banshee?
I've always heard it said as the banshee. But I think that comes from, in Irish, it would be like na banshee or un banshee.
Yeah.
So you would have the definitive article before it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's come from that.
All right. So a banshee is a thing then, more than like it's like a fox. Like,
yeah, it's like the king, but you can have multiple kings.
Okay.
They might have like maybe subdivided regions. Let's say
that they control.
Yeah.
Warlords.
Yeah, Spirit Lord.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Throughout Irish folklore, there is perhaps no more widely recognised figure than that of the Banshee. Coming from the Old Irish term, Bansheed, or Woman of the Fairy Mound, / Fairy Woman. The Banshee is a female spectre which haunts the Irish countryside, known for a distinctive wail, which is said to be an ill portent.
It's going to be so good when we get the video on this, when we get the video up and running, so people can see the betrayal in your face when you read out some of these statements.
What do you mean?
Smiling to yourself. Why are you smiling? What's that cheeky smile about?
My prose?
The prose, is it?
Yeah, my prose.
Because it looked like a cheeky smile of God. Isn't this a load of shit?
No,
it had the air of it.
It was not that. How dare you say that? If you really want to know, yeah. I was laughing at just saying the phrase "fairy woman."
Okay, fair enough.
But but also the prose, I was giving myself a little smile, a little.
Yeah, you're saying, God, look at that.
This is great.
Shouldn't you be more concentrating on the subject rather than your writing?
Why?
True.
Yeah, because the subject can only be brought across by my writing.
Very, very true. I think it's one of the first episodes where I've actually agreed with you with your first sentence that you started off with. Usually it's a wild statement, but this is actually quite true. I think the Banshee would be known by most people in Ireland. But a question for you. Do you think the younger generation know about the Banshee? Do you think it's actually passed on? Obviously the Banshees of Inisherin or whatever it's called, that has definitely done a lot for resurrecting the name of Banshees.
Yeah.
But do you think the Banshee thing is with younger generations?
I think that would largely depend on, and you can probably tell me this better than I would know myself, is the current proliferation of Banshee bones.
Whether Banshee bones are out or not.
Yeah,
so Banshee bones were a popular crisp in Ireland that were out for a while, I think, a good number of years, but I think they went off the market and then came back on the market.
So they're back, are they?
I don't know if they're back for good.
Hang on, we're going to have to check this up. Banshee bones, or the Banshee bones as it should be. Well, I can tell you, Tato confirms Banshee Bones crisps are back for good.
Oh, they're back for good.
They're back for good after a successful trial.
That is my favourite statement when they come out with that, when they say, like, don't worry, Fat Frogs are back for good.
Back for good. Look,
back for good.
After a successful trial. So did she win against someone, or was it?
I don't think there's anything that they make statements about that other than crisps and chocolate, where they're saying Banshee Bones are back for good. Like, as in 20 years' time, there's just one person in Longford buying Banshee Bones, no one else, and they're like,
they're back for
we
good.
have to get rid of them, and they're like, no, you said they're back for good.
You said it. I don't eat crisps, as you know that, Dennis. Can you give the listener a little idea?
I could be very wronged here. I know there's actually an avid listener and a very, very close friend of the podcast who listens to all the episodes, and she loves Banshee bones. And so when I talk about this now, I could get it wrong, but I'm fairly sure Banshee bones are kind of like a prawn cocktail kind of crisp.
Oh, well...
What does it say on that?
It says salt and vinegar here.
Salt and vinegar with a tang. That it's not straight down the line salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar, probably most standard crisp flavour you can think of. And then there you are, putting prawns in the mix.
Here, it's imagine salt and vinegar, but haunted.
Do you think... Is that what they're doing?
Well, sure, how else do they make them?
Jesus Christ. I think we've got to get on to Tato. Can we do some kind of cross-promotion?
Yeah, cross-pollination.
Yeah. You have a little QR code on the back of all of the Banshee bones they sell that allow you to listen to the podcast for free.
That would be unbelievable.
Wouldn't that be great?
You can do that now as well. But I think the audience for us would be people who eat Banshee bones.
Yeah, I think that there's probably...
Like, we're not going to be a Walker's Crisp audience. You know, anyone who goes in and gets them, that's not going to happen.
No.
I mean, we'd be maybe Chickatees, Monster Munch at a push. I don't know why I pronounce Monster Munch like that.
No, Monster Munch, I think, is in the fold.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a little bit upmarket for us. I
think Banshee Bones, it's hard to really think of a better cross-branding opportunity than Banshee Bones. So anyone from Tato, get on to us. Listen, we're all ears.
Tato. Crisps that whisper. Crisps that whisper. Tato. Look for the special pack. Tato are terrific.
The Banshee will visit an area when a moment of great tragedy or death is about to be visited upon a family. The figure will often come accompanying a terrible storm or something of that ilk. Her unearthly wail heard above even the ferocious wind and cracks of thunder, sending dread into the hearts of all those who hear it, wondering, is this wail meant for me?
You know, there's a friend of mine, right? And you know, a lot of people in Ireland have superstitions that they follow and all the rest of it, right? But you just said there about, you know, a lot of people believe that the Banshee's wail and all that is a signal that there's a coming death going to happen or something really, really bad.
Yeah.
But we had a friend, right? And we were old enough to know better, right, at this stage. We were old enough to behave ourselves. But we went into, it was a funeral, and like this person's like father had just died, and then their aunt had just died. Right, so it was like two deaths straight off the bat. So we came in and we're chatting away to them, like we're all really good friends, and we're sitting down. It's that kind of lull after the funeral and whatever, and everyone's chatting away, and you don't really know what to say. And say, "Oh, how are you getting on? You know, do you like the sandwiches? Oh, thanks very much." And then this guy goes, "You know, this stuff, it always happens in threes."
You're joking.
Basically warning our friend that
there's one more.
You think this is the end of it? You better watch out.
Listen, keep the plot open.
Yeah, keep that open. Don't put any earth in that.
You're only wasting your time. Get another coffin lined up there. There's somebody coming. So the Banshee, Denis, right? But actually, this might be interesting. It might tie into your story. It might be curious. The Banshee is more selective than she may first seem, however, as it is said that she will only wail for those of pure Milesian blood, or those dating their bloodline back to the last people who came and settled Ireland from the Iberian Peninsula. Most commonly, this is thought to be those who bear the prefix of O or Mac before their last names, as these are true descendants of the ancient Gaels.
All right, Raj, you want something? You're probably looking at me going, hey, this guy's got a Banshee story, but his second name is Len. Doesn't make any sense. Got a surprise for you.
Go on.
So I'll tell the story really, really quickly, because some people might have heard it already, right? And when I say quickly, I'll take my goddamn time. So my grandmother died.
Yeah.
And then if there was anyone who was related to the spirit world in any way, it was definitely my grandmother. She just had this way about her, right? She also claimed that she met a headless horseman on the way to work as well. And it scared the living shit out of me when she told us about it repeatedly. One night, or after the funeral, it was myself, my sister, and my mother were in the house. My dad was on nights. And we heard like a wail outside, like not a fox, right? Because people go say it's a fox. It was not a fox, right? Unless the fox was like after getting in a car crash and all the fox's family were dead, right? That's the only kind of wail. This terrifying thing woke us all up. So we all came out and we were, you get that. Do you ever hear when someone's, like, the difference between someone screaming and when someone's screaming in pain? Like when someone's hurt.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of sends all this tingles around you, like. So anyway, this happened. That's fine. Let's just go back to bed, settle down. It was probably just, like, it's probably just the day that's in it. It's our imagination. Go back to sleep. Everyone's asleep about half an hour. Crash. Hear this massive glass smash downstairs somewhere. So like someone's breaking into the house. That's what it is. We go downstairs, but we had a house alarm, so it didn't go off. So we're like, it must be something inside. We go down. Huge picture of St. Mary smashed on the ground. Just off the hall. Just completely, and
it's gone.
We're like, oh my God, right? And then it was dark, so my mother put it back up. And then we came down in the morning and we got equally scared. My mother put the picture on the wall upside down. Right now, that story I've told before, right? And you said it has to be O's.
Or Max.
My grandmother is an O.
What was she?
I can't say it because it's like used for like bank details and stuff.
Okay.
But it's an O.
An O?
Yeah.
So
she's Iberian.
So she's of Malaysian blood.
She's classic Irish.
Jesus Christ. I'll be honest with you, coming into this.
Couldn't wait to sting me with that, I'd say.
I couldn't wait. The fact that I'm pure Iberian.
You're pure fucking cunt.
I'm pure Iberian. And you, no, you. Although also, right, I would have also accepted this because some include the Fitzgeralds in this category as well, because Fitzgeralds, they were early Normans and they were said to be more Irish than the Irish themselves. So they were considered.
That's definitely what the Fitzgeralds say.
Yeah. So they were included. They were included in this grouping. It's also said, Denis, that her wail is not always the harbinger of death, but on some rare occasions can be a warning of danger if she's feeling generous. However, she takes no pity on those who do not heed her warning.
Do we have a couple of theories for where she comes from at the end of this? Just so I don't jump into it.
You go on.
Okay. When you say that she warns people of things that are happening, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, that does obviously hark back to our friend Mothman.
Okay, yeah,
and Mothman, in some of the theories, I think, was kind of like an interdimensional traveller, yeah?
Yes.
So are we thinking maybe Banshee is like an Irish Mothman?
Okay, I'm liking it a lot, right?
And then second follow-up question, does the Banshee just appear in Ireland?
Oh, that's a great question. So also, can also appear in Scotland, I believe.
Oh, so like the Celtic connection.
Yeah.
So we can definitely jump then probably one or two in Wales.
I haven't heard much of it. Maybe the Welsh have their own version of it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be so confident of that.
Third question.
Go on.
Is the Banshee sexy?
Well, we will actually get to that.
Is there You're just getting rid of all this stuff off the top first.
We will actually get into that. And all I'd say is put a pin in the extra-dimensional or interdimensional being. Okay. Because, listen, I had
way ahead of us.
Similar thoughts myself, right? Her appearance is another point of contention, as there are many differing accounts. Some say that she takes the form of a haggard old woman with silvery white hair. In some cases, she is unusually tall. In others, she is as short as 1 foot, showing her fairy nature. Her face is sunken, and her eyes are bloodshot beyond belief from an eternity of non-stop crying. Why is that funny?
No, it's just a bloodshot beyond belief.
Beyond belief, yeah.
I think she's a Banshee.
Yeah, but Denis, even for a Banshee, they're unusual. Imagine this, like, what would you say? Like somebody up all night, eyes bloodshot. This woman, she's been crying non-stop for an eternity.
Is this the same Banshee popping around the place? Like, there's only one Mothman, right?
Yeah. Well,
is there not?
There potentially could be more than one.
Okay, but yeah. I suppose I'm just eager to get onto the interdimensional thing where they're from the same school.
Okay, we'll get onto that. Mm-hmm. So bring that up again, okay? Because I like the vibes you're putting out on that. Right? Sometimes witnesses have even seen her flying through the moonlight. So like gliding along. Witchy kind of, but no broom.
I can imagine that, but I'm imagining it in a kind of a 70s animation. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like
I know.
Way scarier than current animation.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing her animated in this next version, right? Because in
whose
other
version
accounts,
is this?
What?
Whose version is this?
What do you mean?
Where did you get this from? Like, was this typed up
This
from inside your head, or was
no,
this like...
no.
Okay.
No, this is all in the. This is just in the folklore, of the Banshee.
I hear any kids out there listening to this podcast. You shouldn't be listening to it anyway. But right now, close your ears because I'm about to ask him a question. Do you think there's Banshee porn?
Oh, I'd say there probably is.
There probably is.
There probably is.
Bring it up.
There
Come
probably
on, bring it up.
I'll have to check that right now.
Hey, all these links have been clicked.
No, that's something else. In other accounts, however, she takes the form of a beautiful young woman. In some cases, even a family member who died before they were able to be wed off, and now is tasked with returning from the other world to warn her bloodline of upcoming misfortune.
All right, so the Banshee is only to do with your bloodline, is it? But your bloodline could obviously, be huge, I assume.
Yeah.
But so, like, if a Banshee is warning you, you are related to that Banshee.
No, so okay, right. I think we'll really get into this later.
Sometimes you react to these questions as if it's like, oh, for God's sake, I have to explain this to him.
It's the reaction as if we're learning division.
Yeah.
And you've brought up, like, what are square roots? So I'm like, okay, well, there is an answer to this, but it's taking us way off track. So this, right? So basically, there's, let's say, 2, potentially 3 branches to this.
Okay.
Right? The 2 branches are, 1, the Banshee is a spirit, like a spirit entity. There's way more than this, right? But 1, the Banshee is like a spirit entity that just comes and wails like as ill portent. Okay. So it kind of, to go on the Mothman route, it's not far off a cryptid in that respect. Even though it is a spirit. It knows, it can interdimensionally tell that sadness is going to happen. So whether somebody's going to die or something like that. So it comes and wails kind of in anticipation of a death.
But not necessarily to stop it from happening.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
In some, like I said, in some rare cases, it can be to, like, let's say you're like, oh, I'm going to go for a walk tonight. The Banshee will come out and go, whoa, scare you.
So I'm going to put something to you, right, in the most long-winded way ever.
Okay.
Right? I was watching a documentary, okay?
Yeah.
And it shows how plants and stuff evolve to do very precise things that they need done.
Is this the one that you were watching? Yeah, is this the David Attenborough one?
I was watching it today.
My God, you've brought this up 100 times.
If that's my only sin. So there's a flower in that, right?
It can't be that good.
It's unbelievable. There's a flower in that heats up to 20 degrees hotter than its surrounding area.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
It lays off a stank.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
It is a hot stank comes off the flower.
Right.
These little flies go onto it. Uh-oh, it's slippy. They've slipped into its prison that lays inside its fat stalk.
Yeah.
Right? They go in there. There's these little spindly things that trap them in there.
Yeah.
And then there's a female and a male reproductive kind of, let's say, organs inside there. And the flies are going around banging into these things and they take all the stuff and then they pollinate it. And then the little spindly things that were trapping them in there, like the cage bars, whatever, they like wilt and then the flies pop out and they go on to the next one and then they cross-pollinate and all this, right?
Okay, yeah.
Precisely made and all has a purpose.
Okay, yeah.
With some of these things, like the Banshee, why would she go and just wail? Like, what is the purpose to the environment she's in? What's the purpose for her? What does she get out of it?
So, in one of the branches that we were just talking about, let's say she's more of a cryptid, right? She's more of like an ancient fairy type woman. She's coming to feed off the negative energy.
Okay.
And the wailing is just a cry. She to her, it doesn't, the wail means nothing.
So it's like she's taking in carbon dioxide, pain, and then producing oxygen.
Wail.
But that's the wail.
Yeah. You see? And it's all perfectly... You see? It's perfectly designed.
It's perfectly designed.
It's
now
perfectly
that
designed.
I have given you that, yes.
Yeah.
So does the pain get taken away from people? Like what's she hoovering up here? What's she vacuuming? Like, is she taking the pain out of the world?
No, it's not necessarily to do with pain.
Okay, but the
It's like
sadness, death, whatever.
It's just like the whatever exchanges are happening in the world when those kind of negative energies happen. She's not necessarily doing a good deed, you know. She's not taking away sadness from the world. She's just coming to wail to like suck up the dead energy, you know.
Yeah, well, what does she get from it?
Oh, sustenance.
Sustenance. So she needs it to feed.
Yeah, let's say that. Yeah.
Wait, when you look up when I ask you those questions, are you trying to get like the research to the front of your mind, or are you just making things up?
No, I'm trying to remember what I've read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it really looks like you're just saying, well, in my imagination, yeah, sure.
No, because then the other branch of the theory.
Wait, that didn't answer anything.
What?
Go on. This is just, you do this all the time. You'll just say, and then actually, no, wait a second, put a pin in that. Never come back to it ever again.
You never bring it up again.
And then I forget.
Yeah, no, that's on you. That's on you. You never bring it up again.
But if I bring it up a second time, you say, no, wait, put a pin in it. We're going to start it at the end.
No, you never bring it up at the end. But the second branch of this, though, right, is that she is a spirit linked to a family.
Okay.
Right? That she's, in fact, actually, potentially in both versions of this, it's due to an ancient relationship between those ancient Gaels, the Milesians, right? An ancient, let's say, pact or relationship between the Milesians and that sounded way too much like Malaysian that time. Mm-hmm. The Milesians and the Sheed, the hidden fairy people of Ireland when they arrived here. So you could say that if you look at them as having an antagonistic, I really can't speak today, having an antagonistic relationship, right? The ancient Irish people and the fairies that lived here, she's coming to gloat.
What's she gloating about? She's saying, ha, you're all dying.
Yeah, and that's giving her a bit of sustenance, right?
Okay.
But then the other branch of this is that the Banshee is actually the Banshee is actually, let's say, a spirit representative of somebody from the family who has gone to live in the fairy realm because they died young.
Okay.
And now they're coming back to warn the family, or to kind of, it's kind of like the way a doctor would tell you, you know, you have a week left to live.
All right, okay, right. So with you, you die today, right? You die right now.
Right, yeah.
Can you go to the fairy world?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
You can't. So are all banshees from, you know, a long, long time ago? Wait, when was the first banshee around? Like what year are we talking?
I'd say
from your research, obviously.
From my research, I'd say you're talking BC anyway.
BC, yeah. Okay.
We're, let's say
that's probably a big window.
800 BC.
800 BC. Yeah. Okay. So, and that's when the first kind of banshees were knocking around.
I'd say, yeah.
And there hasn't been any like banshees created recently. Like you can be fairly sure if there's a banshee outside, that's from like before Christ.
No, because thankfully mortality rates have risen.
Right.
So you see, what was happening back then is that people were dying young.
But there still are people dying young. Like but that still is.
But like, let's say it's 1 in every 10,000 becomes a banshee.
Yeah.
Like that's way, you know, that's.
So you're saying it's like they just don't have enough. They've got the positions, just don't have the personnel.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really, if anything, it's more of like a training problem.
Okay, so there's just not. You're saying that the big problem with the banshees is not enough Irish young people dying.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if we could get back to that,
yeah,
you'd be seeing banshees every 2 minutes. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I think I'm not sure if it cleared stuff up. There's a lot of information there, but definitely a lot to chew on.
That's always a good sign when you say there's a lot to chew on. That basically just means continue. I'm fed up. Some Dennis, this ties into some of the questions you were asking about earlier, and you were saying, you always tell me to put a pin in those, but you never take the pin out.
I'm sorry, right, but how is that my voice?
That is your voice.
That is not my voice.
How is that my voice? That's not my voice.
All right, we're going to play those two together.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just stitch them together, and then the listeners can decide. That is not my.
They're the same picture.
Can I just say as well, I was really expecting you to bring up the fact that the Banshee, no word of the fact that a Banshee's size range is between unusually tall and 1 foot tall. That was of no interest to you.
I mean, that could just be because they spotted it far away and close up.
Oh, is that it? Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. So some of
you seem very protective of the Banshee.
Some have even noted. Well, Dennis, I am an O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
So potentially you're talking about my ancient ancestors here. Mm-hmm. Potentially. Or potentially not. Depending on which branch you go
Wait, can I ask you another question about the fairies?
Yes.
Do you recognise that the fairies existed? We already touched on this, I think, in the last recorded episode, but do you think so that the fairies exist as much as, like, aliens exist, as we exist?
The Sheed, right, the hidden people who live under fairy mounds in Ireland.
Yeah.
I think they potentially could exist.
You know what would be amazing?
Or they might be aliens.
Okay, obviously.
Yeah.
Anything could be an alien. You know what would be an amazing graphic to see? Like a huge poster on a wall.
Yeah.
Would be the world as you see it and believe it to exist if you believe in all the theories that we've discussed. Like, the fairies exist under the ground, right?
Yeah,
In little mounds. But not too much, because then the mole people have to exist under them.
Yeah, you're right.
And then they have to interact.
Yeah.
And then we've got orbs flying around the place. It's a very busy world you live in. Very busy world.
Can I say as well, a very exciting world to live in.
I'd say it is.
It's very exciting living in my world, Dennis. And may I suggest you come join me someday, right? So, some have even noted, Dennis, that these variations I mentioned earlier in terms of their looks and their size and stuff, that these may be regional in nature. Adding to these accounts, there are some rare cases where the Banshee appears as an earthly figure, usually disguised as an old beggar woman, huddled in the open or at a crossroads, only to be comforted by a passer-by, at which point she turns, wailing at the unsuspecting Good Samaritan, and flies off into the wilds.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
That would blow your mind, wouldn't
There
it?
is something about crossroads as well. We probably can't really... You probably can't really experience how scary a crossroad is now, I'd imagine. You'd want to go somewhere fairly rural, but even back in my day, when I was just a young sprog down in the lonely lanes of my father's village, when I was wandering around there, like, that got spooky. Like, real spooky. And
really?
you would see those, like, those almost Banshee-esque women walking around the place, who, at the time, were probably 36. You know? Probably 36 years old.
Ancient.
But just condemned to death after, like, 25.
The crossroads, famously, you're meant to meet the devil at the crossroads.
Are you?
Yeah. That's where you meet him.
Okay. As in, like, just on your way. How many Irish stories was there before about, and they were walking along, and this lad said to them, blah, 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 and they said, thanks very much, and they looked down at his feet. Hooves.
Yeah.
Hooves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you don't like those stories?
I went into the library, rent a book, DK Eyewitness Dinosaur, looked down at the librarian's feet. Hooves.
So, okay, so what you're really saying is the next few episodes I have to rewrite, is that it?
Do you believe in Satan, then?
Oh, I definitely believe in Satan.
You definitely believe in Satan?
Yeah. And he might even have something to do with the aliens.
He can't.
He can.
He created aliens.
No, he might be an alien.
He might be an alien.
Yeah.
But do you believe in Satan as in terms of the Bible Satan? No?
I think, I'll put it to you this way. If I was to see him, it wouldn't take much convincing.
For some reason, this episode feels like we have been in a sauna for like 12 hours.
Do you think so?
Do you get that kind of vibe off it?
I think this one has been more challenging than we were expecting.
It is. But that's because I think it's just because we know so much about it. And I want to find out more about it, if you get what I mean. Like, it's close to home.
Well, I think we've already found out a little bit
more
about it. And I think, Dennis, that we're leading into a pretty cool, I think almost first for the podcast, right? Mm. Because, Dennis, we're heading in to a genuine second-hand encounter.
Second-hand?
What?
Second-hand?
Yeah, second-hand.
What does that
encounter.
mean? What's second-hand?
Second-hand means it was dictated to...
To you?
No, not to me.
Oh.
To a person.
Third-hand, is it?
No, that's second-hand.
Second-hand, okay.
Yeah.
So, an eyewitness...
Then
passed it on to someone else.
Yes.
But that source is really reliable.
And now,
and
now
you're regurgitating
I'm
that
about to give you that source. So, Dennis, perhaps one of the most chilling accounts of the Banshee comes from a Miss Dunphy of Irish Town, New Ross.
Now, for any of the Americans out there, right, they're thinking they made that up. They've made it up, and they're almost switched off. That is an actual town.
Yeah, Irish
That's
Town,
an
New
actual
Ross.
town. We're not making this up.
No.
This is real. Well, I mean, I can't speak for the rest of this.
No,
I can speak for the town.
No, stop where you were. It is real. So this story, Dennis, was recorded through a friend of hers and recorded on something called ducus.ie.
Okay.
Are you familiar with ducus?
Ducus, is that a spirit or something?
It's the Irish word for heritage.
Oh, lovely.
And it's actually a really cool website. This is a national heritage and folklore archive. I think it might even be like privately run, but it contains high-res scans of this handwritten account.
Okay, cool.
Right, so I've transcribed that here. Some of it doesn't make full sense to me because it's lost kind of in translation a bit.
So can you just give us the summary there again? So this is a woman living in an Irish town, and what year is it?
The story is recorded in 1937.
Oh, wow, it's that old. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
So that's when the story was recorded, but the story itself is from about like a little bit before that.
Cool.
So it'll become clear now. So this is the story recorded in ducus.ie. Between 15 and 20 years ago, a lady by the name of Miss Dunphy in T, Irish town, heard the Banshee. One night, Miss Dunphy went to bed, and after a long sleep, she was awakened by a noise. Her bedroom window faced down the Irish town. When she woke up, she was dazed by sleep. She heard screams. At first, she thought it was the howling of dogs, but as the screaming came nearer, it filled the whole vault of the heavens. Then, all of a sudden, it struck her that it was the Banshee. The lady got out of bed, went to the maid's room. She woke the maid and told her she'd heard the Banshee. Then the maid said, "Come on over to the window until we see what she is like." But Miss Dunphy did not go over. The maid looked out the window and she said, "That's she all right." "What is she like?" Miss Dunphy asked. The description she gave her was, at first she looked like a huge tangled ball of wool. But as soon as...
What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
What are you laughing at?
At first she looked like a huge tangled ball of wool. But as soon as she came nearer, she assumed a woman's form. After a time, she sat on the corner of the Banshee and started keening and combing her hair. After a while, she disappeared. That same night, the Banshee was heard in Ryleen and in the Maudlands, and on that very night, a man named McCarthy died in the Maudlands.
Spooky, very spooky. Don't know why you laughed in the middle of it though. That was weird. Did you get a funny message on your phone?
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
Okay, funny meme.
Yeah.
I tell you, you know what people don't do hardly enough anymore? Keen their hair.
They don't. I've been saying
keening their hair.
What are you doing? Oh, I'm keening my hair. You go to the barber and go, "I just want a little keen," if you can do it.
I suppose just the thing to note there is that the Banshee can appear anything from a woman, an ugly woman, a sexy woman, to a big ball of wool as well.
Yeah, well, I laughed at that, right? I laughed at a tangled ball of wool. But really, when you think about it, it's a really evocative image. Because what I'm thinking of is, really, you were talking about a person with no knowledge of them describing an orb.
Are we?
Yeah, I kind
of imagined it as more of a tangled ball of wool, but with kind of... Oh, you know what? I was going to say glowing. So maybe it is an orb.
You see, so you were talking about like a kind of a formless orb, like a tangled ball of
smoke almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's a beautifully evocative phrase.
Almost as if she's appearing or coming in from one dimension to another.
I like the way you're thinking. Yes,
perhaps
she's coming from the wool dimension.
Yeah,
she's coming into her dimension,
the knitter's dimension. Yeah. That's where they all want to be.
Here's my pet theory. Is that the Banshee was knitting and actually just put away her wool really quickly, and then you saw her behind,
and then she stepped through.
The wool. Yeah.
What's a Banshee?
So, great question. I've spent so long trying to figure this out. The best I can think of, if any Irish listener can
we have a good number of Irish speaking listeners in, so they might be able to help us out.
So I really did look like high and low to find a Banshee. The best I can come up with, I don't think I'm misreading the text, And there's also a typed version next to the actual printed paper. But the best I could come up with is that it's some kind of regional variation on a Boreen.
Okay.
That's the best thing I could think of. But that's the scan of the story.
Beautiful handwriting.
So I think that kind of stuff spooks you sometimes. The fact that this is here, it's scanned on this, and it's from 1937.
I think that stuff. I mean, you're not going to believe this. You won't believe the words that are about to come out.
Go on.
I believe that stuff kind of has a bit of power in it.
What do you mean?
I believe that, like, you know, when you write that stuff down and it exists there, like, as in, it's like a photograph or something. Like, it just has a bit of power. It captures that moment. And I think if anything's going to be haunted or spooky, it's going to be that diary or whatever
It'll be that.
Yeah.
Do you think we're getting a little bit of the haunting just by looking at the PDF version?
I would say yes. What is that? We're being exposed to the haunting. It's like secondary haunting, or, you know, it's like secondary cringe. We're getting secondary.
Haunting. We're just getting a milder haunting.
Mild haunting. Do you going to be vaccinated against haunting? Like, you get a little bit of a haunt.
Sorry. Do you mean like you build up immunity? Like, because I don't think you can be vaccinated, but I think maybe. Actually, you know what? No, everything I've read is that after the first bout of haunting, it actually gets easier and easier to be reinfected by haunting. Oh,
okay. All right. So it's actually the complete opposite of most things.
Oh, yeah. I think it is. I think it doesn't work the same as like viruses and stuff.
There's not much reassurance in that, is there?
No.
When you're haunted once, you're like, oh man, things are actually going to get worse.
A lot of people say if you use a Ouija board just once, you've opened yourself up to.
Of course you have. It's like flying a flag in the air, going, here, look, I'm an idiot over here. You can come out.
Check me out.
Yeah, come into me and possess me.
So, Dennis, what do you make of that story?
I love it. I absolutely love that story. I think it's really scary. I just love all that old Irish thing. I hope that, like, all the listeners out there can imagine it. But just imagine, like, rain, whitewashed houses, straw on it. Like, go mad on the stereotypes. Go wherever your mind wants to take you. You actually can't cause any offense compared to what this is going to look like.
Candles as well.
Candles, yeah. And weird windowsills and just mud, and, like, everyone's wearing big, like, aprons made out of, like, you know, fucking mud. You know, like, you know, thatch. Their clothes are like thatch roofs.
And did you notice there again, Dennis? It was because she had a maid. It was probably a big house.
Yeah, it was.
So to tie it back in to Curragh Chase House, what a lot of people don't know is back then, that would have been, if you're talking about 1937 or 38 and you're talking about 20 years before that, like, that's probably the remnants of the Anglo-Irish ascendancy still hoarding the ghosts from the average Irish person.
Yeah, so your actual point there was not that these were coming to, let's say, seek revenge against the landowners. It's actually that the problem there is that the landowners, much like the land, are keeping all the ghosts.
The British were keeping the ghosts from the Irish. Yeah, that's not really said that often, but
I mean, come on.
There needs to be more research done into that.
Is there anything that can happen to you if you look at a banshee or anything?
If you don't heed its warning, you can be in big trouble.
In what way? Like, legally?
No, just like there might be in that case as well. But if a banshee, if you're going down, let's say, a steep hill, and a banshee pops up, wails at you, you better turn back, man.
I just feel that if you were warning people against things, that you would maybe do it in a more friendly kind of way. You know, like, as in, if the banshee is warning you not to run towards things, you better hope that banshee is standing in front of it when they're screaming at you, instead of behind you and accelerating you towards the danger, because that's the only way you're going to run. But Dennis,
they're from different dimensions potentially. Mm-hmm. So this is their best chance of communicating.
You see, I don't buy this. You give them so much credit for doing a shit job. You did the same thing with Mothman. Like, you're saying, oh, look, they don't know what they're doing. Look, they're doing their best.
They're doing their best.
But what if they're making it worse?
No, Dennis, they're doing their best. Like, they can't. I'm sure in some cases people misunderstand what they're trying to communicate, and maybe they like fall off cliffs.
Do you know what'd be really fucking cool, right? And if it's already out there, I apologize to the maker. If it's not, this is my idea, right? You cannot steal it unless someone is in game development out there,
right?
What about, like, Mortal Kombat, but for, like, banshees and, like, all these, like, cryptoids and stuff? How cool would that be? Cryptids. Sorry, I was investing in cryptoids.
A year of the podcast nearly.
Yeah,
and you're still getting cryptoid.
It doesn't matter. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
But do you listen to anything I ever say?
I'm not going to answer that. Okay. But could you imagine how cool that would be? Like a Tekken of like Banshees and stuff. You could completely imagine how what its moves and stuff would be.
So you're talking about maybe Banshee. Banshee is something like maybe let's say Nina.
Yeah,
Tekken.
well, more like Yoshimitsu, like Kiss of Death and that kind of stuff.
Okay, but you were talking about you'd have Bigfoot in it.
Yeah,
you'd have the Yeti.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, I think that would be.
Yeti'd be like that guy from Mortal Kombat. Actually, I can't remember what that thing's name is. It mostly fights on the ground, and it has this really, maybe it's Tekken, and it mostly fights on the ground. It looks like a Yeti.
They will just quickly go through a few theories before we wrap it up for the evening, Denis. So, number one theory, it's a ghost.
Okay, it's a ghost, but I said it was a ghost at the start, and you were adamant that it was not a ghost, and that it was a spirit or a puka.
Yeah. So it's more like is a ghost of a family member manifested through like a spirit that comes back to warn the family. So it's like a slightly.
So the spirit is like the vehicle, and the ghost is stepping into that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the Banshee is like the
Banshee is a vessel. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah.
But the Banshee will exist after that ghost ceases to exist.
Yes, yeah.
And then another ghost can step into that. It's like a car.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Yeah. So that's one of the theories. Next theory is that it's like it is an ancient fairy woman, one of the Sheed, and this is just what they do now. This is based on potentially, we don't know the folklore around it, but maybe there was a pact made between the Milesians and the Sheed. Maybe part of the pact is like, oh, you'll come and warn our bloodline, right? Okay. Or maybe, like I said earlier, they're coming to gloat.
And so, but did we answer whether or not there are multiple Banshees or not?
Yeah, there are.
There are multiple Banshees.
Yeah.
Okay.
They might even have regional differences, like we mentioned earlier.
Okay, yeah. And they exist in, like, some of the Banshees will pronounce it like butter, and other ones will pronounce it like burr, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Or their wail will sound a bit different.
Mm-hmm. Wail.
Come on, that's like, as you go more north, that's like the wail.
I'd say no one would take those Banshees seriously.
Do you not think so, no?
She wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know what they're saying.
It's going, what about she? Like Daniel O'Donnell territory,
we Daniel.
Imagine if he became a Banshee. That would be unreal.
He'd be a terrifying Banshee.
So next one, we kind of touched on already, the idea extra-dimensional being type thing.
Yeah, you're saying that as if like you're saying it's an accountant or something, but that's probably one of the most startling theories, I think, no?
Not really for me.
I mean, it opens the door to a lot of questions in terms of where's it coming from?
Yeah, it's Mothman-esque. It's from that dimension.
Okay, so, and are you saying then that it's in the same kind of line as the good versus evil battle that's happening all over the universe?
Yeah.
And is Banshee good or bad?
Banshee, you might be surprised, grey.
Grey area, yeah. Like a ref.
I'd say some are good, some are bad, and that might even account for the regional differences.
Okay, cool. All right, so some of those are good, some of those are bad. And how do you know which ones are good or bad?
You just have to kind of wait and see.
Kind of vibe them, get the vibe.
Yeah. You know when it happens.
Do you think the word vibe is gone now?
I think it's on the way out.
Yeah.
I think vibe is if you're asking me, I think it's totes cringe. And if I heard somebody say it, I would think big yikes.
Jesus Christ, I remember
opinion.
you. Was that on this podcast?
No, it wasn't.
Or was that a different podcast?
No, that was when we were streaming.
Oh, you were trying to make big yikes come in.
That's the thing.
Well, okay.
It's not anymore, but
you're trying to make like your thing though.
Oh, well, it was my thing.
It was, no?
I tried to trademark it. Turns out I was meant to copyright it. Anyway, last one, aliens. They're aliens.
Oh, wow. That's such a great way of presenting the theory. The theory is they're aliens, and then the little paragraph on it, they're aliens.
They're aliens.
Yeah.
You know what aliens are up to.
I feel like you're wildly underprepared for these theories, and maybe even didn't actually have any.
No, I did.
Okay, so they're aliens. Can you expand on that? Without me just bringing you through the theory.
Yeah, they're aliens. We know what aliens are. You and me.
Where are they from? What planet are they from?
Oh, hard to say.
Extremely hard to say.
Do you know what they might even be? They might even be like, we've talked before about aliens having pets with them, and the pet's kind of acting weirdly.
And the Banshee escaped.
Yeah,
like letting your dog out.
That's it.
So they're alien dogs, is what you're saying. The Banshees are alien dogs.
The Banshees are like the Baha men in ancient Ireland, where an alien came down and it let its own dogs out, and they've just been roaming free as like an isolated population in Ireland since.
All right, so what you're saying is that there is this small population of alien dogs that have been running free in Ireland since 800 BC, and they're actually populating Ireland.
Yeah, but they're dying out.
They're dying out?
Yeah.
Why are they dying out?
Because not enough Irish people are dying young.
That doesn't make any sense, though. What did alien dogs have to feed on them?
No, yes. Yeah.
I feel like if you had anyone up until this point, they've probably fallen off.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think you had a great case up until that last one. Up until they're aliens, they're aliens.
Hang on, did you just hear the Banshee?
Thanks very much for listening to us this week. I've been Denis Len. You can find me at DenisLen3D on Instagram, Twitter, and bansheesorus.com. Over there is
Roger O'Sullivan. You can find me at Roger O'Comedy on Instagram or at Roger O'Sullivan on Twitter. And you can also find the podcast at Unexplained Legends on Instagram.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. There are videos going up there all the time. And it'll add a visual piece to what you're listening to. Also, we've got, we're only 16 5-star reviews of 100 5-star reviews on Spotify. If you're one of the 16 out there who hasn't given us a review, please click on that little star at the top of Spotify so we can get the cool 100 and we can tell our parents about it.
Yeah, and also make sure you send in your spooky stories to the podcast. Did you say that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, sorry. Make sure you send in your spooky stories to the podcast at
unexplainedlegends@gmail.com.
And we're coming up to the anniversary of the podcast, so we're hoping to do a few special things for that. Few listener submissions, hopefully, fingers crossed, if we get enough.
So if you've thought about sending us in a story, now's the time to do it, because you will feature on a bumper-packed episode that's going to ring in the anniversary of Unexplained Legends.
So on the back of that, love you, goodbye.
Oh, here we go.
Like hand washing.
Here we go. Are you going to say you like hand washing stuff?
I do like hand washing
Roger,
stuff.
honestly, you're going to say you like hand washing stuff?
I swear I do, yeah.
You don't.